What's up, YouTube people? Thank you so much for tuning in to Jasmine T TV. I am Jasmine T. If you hear an echo, it's because I ain't got shit. Okay? Let's start there. What's up, YouTube people? Thank you so much for tuning in to Jasmine T TV. I am Jasmine T. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Quite a few people have asked for today's topic, and that is for me to compare my time in Korea to my time in Poland. And now that it has been a solid 2 months in Warsaw, I think now is a good time to sit and compare my first 2 months in Korea to my first 2 months in Poland, okay? So I'm going to sit and reflect on my mental state, how I handled certain situations, and overall how I adapted to my surroundings. So let's dive right on in, shall we? So I left for Korea in March 2017, and I think that it's important to note that when I left for Korea, that was my first time ever leaving the US. So the first time that I went abroad, I was going to live somewhere for an entire year. I had lived in the Carolinas my entire life. I knew things would be different. Of course, a new country, new culture. But what I didn't know is how I would handle those differences. And in hindsight, didn't handle them too well. Okay, but we're going to get into that. Let's just go straight into my first week in Korea. And the first week in Korea is a time for celebration, okay? It's a time for happiness. If you take a similar route to mine and you take the ESL road to Korea, then it's going to take some months for you to secure that job, get the paperwork together, and finally end up in Korea. So I think it took me a little over 3 months to get everything together, and that's not including the month that it took for me to get my CELTA certification. So that first week in Korea really felt like a new chapter. 7 months before that, I quit my job, but you know it was all good because what? I was in Korea, okay? 3 or 4 months before that, I spent X amount of dollars on a CELTA, but it's all good now. Why? Because I'm in Korea. And I might not have a game plan, don't know my purpose in life, but it's all right because I'm in Korea, okay? So that's how I felt the first week in Korea, to the point where I was dancing in the streets. The first weekend in Korea, I'm dancing in the streets. That's no exaggeration. This is indeed my very first weekend in Korea, dancing in downtown Daegu, having a good old time, not a care in the world. Okay, so that was my first week in Korea, and the second week looked pretty much like this as well. Now let's go into my third and fourth week. Things started to settle down. This might, when did I start hating my job? That might have been like week 4. But if you have seen other videos, then you've heard me talk about the situation at my school. I lived on a mountain, and it just wasn't an ideal situation for me. And you might ask, well, Jasmine, if you didn't like your job, why didn't you quit? And that's a good question, YouTube people. That is a good question, and I have answers for that, okay? And reason number one I didn't quit is because I lived on campus at my school. And if I would have quit my job, I think there would have been a small grace period from the time that I needed to vacate the premises to the time that I needed to secure another job. And that just wasn't something that I was comfortable with. Secondly, I really wanted to stick it out because, remember, I quit my last job, and I was like, I can't. I just have to stick this one out. You left everything behind, and you just can't give up. And then I think, yeah, those are my reasons. I thought there were more. I've had more reasons, but those are the two that I can think of right now. So I felt that if I quit, there would be a possibility that I would go home if I couldn't find another job, and I just didn't want to end up in a worse situation. So I was like, let me just stay where I'm at and push through, and that's what I did. And when I started hating my job, this is where I truly messed up, because I started letting negativity consume me. It had a hold of my soul, okay? And that negativity was starting to radiate in other parts of, just like in all parts of my life. My overall happiness wasn't there. When I knew that I didn't want to stay in Korea, I gave up learning the language. So that definitely is going to impact how your life goes in any country if you can't speak the language. it probably would have been an easier experience. Also, I would look at situations and just start comparing it to, man, I wish I was home. If I was home, I'd have this. If I was home, they'd have like turkey bacon. Just simple, just situations like that. That if I would have just looked at it or just had like more positivity, it would be a different experience. I would just be looking at everything they don't have instead of looking at what they do have. And I would immediately judge things, right? So if I'm in the convenience store and I'm like, man, I really wish they had a chicken sandwich, but all they got is a strawberry sandwich. Why they got strawberries on a sandwich? I don't know. I'm in Korea. Or maybe I'd be looking in the ice cream section and boom, there's ice cream with corn in it. Why do they have ice cream with corn in it? I don't know. I don't want that. And that was my mentality when really what I should have did was buy that damn ice cream with corn in it. It could have changed my life, okay? I'm just bringing up that situation to show how your negativity can even like warp the simplest situations, like even your time in the convenience store. It was more than the convenience store. I could be in the bank, I could be in the taxi, I could be in the store, I could be in the restaurant, anywhere. And I would just sit and be like, why is this done like this? Why is it done this way? Like, I don't understand. And it just affected my entire life in Korea, okay? But I did not want to give up. I wanted to push it through. And that just shows you got to take care of yourself, like mentally, and you have to be mindful of what you're letting affect you, okay? Because there are plenty of people who have been working in Korea for years and they're fine. Okay, they roll with the punches, they do whatever they need to do, but I just wasn't good at it. I'm trying to take that situation and apply it to my life in Poland. So any differences that I see, I try not to judge, I try not to compare it to home, and I try my best to understand why things work the way that they do. So now, let's compare my first 2 months in Poland, all right? So my life in Poland is a lot more comfortable, but like I say, that's because I took things that I knew that I wanted differently than Korea. So Warsaw is a true city, and my situations are just night and day here. I mean, this was the view from one of the classrooms in Korea, and this is the view from my classroom in Poland. So a lot more things for me to do. It is a bit more stressful overall just because of the residency process is just a constant question mark in my mind. The first 2-3 weeks, I was just like in a constant abyss of worry. Okay, I'm a worrier. I worry about many things. And the people at school, like my head teacher, she was just like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Just don't stress about it. It'll work out. And I'm just like, how? Houseway, like, I'm the type of person, when you tell me not to stress, I'm just like, what does that mean? That has been like a little cloud over me. But other than that, everything is good. The work life is good. I like my apartment. I like my neighborhood. There's plenty of things to do. My job is connected to the mall, and there's a Zara. And also, I'm taking Polish classes. So I've completed my first week of Polish classes. Make sure you tune in to next week's video because I will be tracking my weekly progression with Polish, all right? I think it's going to be an interesting time because that first class was serious, okay? Also, let's talk about coming to each country. So with Korea, you get all your paperwork in order before you go. When you have your paperwork together and you touch down, you're good, right? I mean, if you don't, the only thing you really have to worry about is your medical exam, which is the most basic thing ever. It was like a checklist, and I just boom, boom, boom. I did what I needed to do. Poland confuses me. You have to submit a residency application. I'm speaking as an American ESL teacher. You submit your residency application, and when your application is submitted, you can stay, but you have to wait like I've been told anywhere from 2 to 7 months, but now I've been told like 5 to 7 months for you to get an answer to your application. During that time, you can't leave Poland. So I didn't really know all that when I came. So here I was thinking that for my birthday, I was gonna go here, and maybe during the summer I'd go here, and it looks like I'll be in Poland. So that is how I would compare my first 2 months to Korea to my first 2 months in Poland. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure that you stay tuned for next week's video for the week 1 of Polish classes to see how that's going. Also, if you remember Elizabeth from the Ajushi in Korea video, she has started a channel, and I think she has some really, really great content for anyone who is trying to figure out how in the world they need to adapt to culture shock, or even reverse culture shock. Like, how do you deal with going back home? Because she lived in Korea for 3 years. So make sure you check out her channel to see tips and advice that she has. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at JasmineT_TV. Make sure those notifications are turned on, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.